I'm Bill Crow. Spent 33 years in Vermont working for IBM. Had many different jobs there. I started there as a programmer, systems analyst, and then ended up in a bunch of different management positions all around the site. Technology has always been my interest. Um, I actually started life as an instructor and ended up working for IBM. So I came here to Florida in 2004. I joined a group called the Sarasota Technology Users Group in 2005, and they have a joint purpose. Their primary function is education for the beginning to intermediate computer user, technology user. They have a subgroup called the Refurb Project, which accepts donated computers, refurbishes them, and gives them to people in the community who can't afford them. And we do about 1,000 computers a year in the Sarasota area. There are 1,000, and we have right now probably 200 or 300 requests for computers that we need donations. So if you have a computer you want to donate, um, we're at 3949 Sawyer Road. A little bit of a commercial there. I got interested in Parkinson's about 4 or 5 years ago when one of your group asked me to do a presentation. And I felt it was pretty good then, but I have enhanced it a lot currently. Um, what I'd like to do, and I'm going to start the presentation here. I got to do a couple of things to adjust the screens, etc. Okay, I assume you can see the slide called Parkinson's. So Sally, can you tell me? Can you see that? Somebody say yes. So I know I've
Yes,
got you on the
yes,
other end.
no, we can see it.
Okay. All right. My objective today, right? Why are smartphones and watches, these devices, good for Parkinson's patients, right? We're going to talk about these devices and just the devices themselves. There's a bunch of different settings on them that you can adjust to make the smartphones easier for Parkinson's folks to use, right? They're called touch accommodations. We'll also talk about some special applications. So I think 6 or 8 applications that I found out there that are suited for or designed for Parkinson's folks, right? We'll also talk about at the end, if you're using a computer, now we'll switch from phones to computers and say, hey, are there some special things you can do with keyboards and mice to make them easier to use? And then there are some software tools out there that you can put on your computer that we'll talk about as well. So I tried to wrap it all into one package here. Why are smartphones and watches good devices to help Parkinson's patients analyze and control their symptoms? So that's the purpose of the presentation today. Smartphones and smartwatches, and I've included smartwatches in this, can be very helpful tools for people with Parkinson's disease because they are portable, always available, and filled with sensors that can automatically track changes in movement and behavior. Here are some of the key reasons are valuable for analyzing and controlling symptoms. Number one, built-in sensors can monitor symptoms automatically. You don't have to do anything. You just wear the watch and or carry the phone, right? They have accelerometers and gyroscopes in them to measure tremors, movement, speed, and steadiness. There's a heart rate sensors in your watch. that tracks stress and anxiety levels, which can worsen symptoms. They can count the amount of walking you do. These sensors can detect changes without user needing to do anything extra except to put them on. They gather the information, so they collect it. Once they've got it, they record the tremor levels, track medication times and effectiveness, monitor sleep quality and daily activity. This helps patients and doctors see patterns such as when symptoms get worse or how well treatments are working. Oops. Medications, reminders, and routine support, right? Smartphones and watches provide alerts to take medicines at time, repeating reminders for exercise, stretches, and hydration, and voice assistants. So you can use, instead of having to type, you can use either Siri or Google Assistant that are helpful when typing is difficult. You can actually do what's called voice to text. You speak to it and it turns that speech into actual text. The system features make everyday tasks easier, right? For examples, the voice to text I just talked about, large text and accessibility options, touchscreen alternatives. And we're going to talk about that a little more, realizing that touching the screen may not be that simple any longer. These tools reduce the frustrations associated with tremors and slow movement. And data can be shared with healthcare providers. So if it's collecting all this data, you can transmit it to your healthcare provider to see what the progression is for the disease. Tremors, mobility, changes in symptoms throughout the day. This leads to more accurate treatment adjustments. Exercise and therapy guide, right? Some apps include guided stretching and movement exercises, and we're going to talk about some of these a little later as well, right? Tremor stability, stabilizing activity, breathing and relaxation exercises to reduce stress-related tremor increases. So this is a summary of what I just talked about. Now, by the way, I'm going to make this presentation available to you folks, right? So you don't need to try to write down or keep up. Just get the idea of what's here, and then you can see the presentation. I'll send it to whoever you want me to send it to, and you'll have the presentation to review and pick the parts you want. Let's talk about specifically. I'm going to be talking about the iPhone, since I'm more familiar with the iPhones than I am with the Android phones. I'm sure the same features are available in the Android, but for the Apple phones, I'm going to show you how you can do some of these things. Okay? It's called touch accommodations. And there are multiple different types of touch accommodations. For example, I'll just give you a couple and then we'll cover them a little later. The iPhones have changed over time, and now they have a little button on the side instead of the big white button on the front of it. Well, you can get that big one button back if that one was easier for you to use. When you touch the screen, do you want the screen to recognize when you first touch the screen or when you lift your finger off of the screen? How fast can you do a drag across the screen and have it be effective? Those are some of the things we're going to talk about here, right? And how that Apple has made accommodations for that. If we go to settings, accessibility, and touch assistance. Now I just moved in a little picture of a phone. Okay. And I'm going to go to settings. Accessibility, as it says up there. And assistive touch. If you scroll down here, right, it says touch, and I tapped on that, and then assistive touch. Okay. So that's the screen we're on right now. Okay, and that's the one that looks like on your screen, assistive touch. And we turned it on. And what that's going to do for me, it's going to create a menu on my screen represented by this little dot. I think it's that little, yeah. I make sure. Okay. If you look at my iPhone right there, um, just as a side, this is the little dot that it creates on your screen. The dot I'm moving around right now represents the mouse movement on my screen. What you can do is actually hook a mouse to your phone and it acts like your finger on the phone. So that's one adoption you can make pretty quickly. Okay. And we can talk about the different types of mice you can have. The only thing the mouse requires is be Bluetooth connected. Okay. When you create the button, this is what it shows on the screen. So if I have my mouse here and I click on this button, oop, ah, it's actually doing one right now. My technology won't do all that right now, but it will work for you. And when you bring it up, you have different options you can have on the screen. And it can do different things, right? So you can have it open a menu, you can have it do the home screen, single tap, open menu, double tap, open home, and long press, go to Siri. You can also get the different options on it. So that would be customizing it. And you can customize the different things that show up. So instead of having the home button that you used to have on your phone, you can have this and it works just as well. If you go to the same thing, it's called haptic touch accessibility, and it says haptic touch here. And if I bring my phone in, there's haptic touch. And this lets you set, right, touch duration for a action to take place. Understand that when you touch the phone, there's two different things. You can touch or you can press and hold, and they produce two different effects. The touch performs what the app says. The touch and hold gives you a menu. And here's how long you have to touch the screen for it to take effect. And so they provide, you can set it fast, default, or slow. So if your reaction time is slower, you can actually test so that when you touch it, and you can experiment with it, right? And you can experiment with it to see which one's best for you. So we talked about assistive touch, haptic, and touch accommodations, right? If you have trouble using the touch screen, you can adjust the following settings to change how the screen will respond to your touch. It's called touch accommodations. Okay? And this is how long, when do you want the phone to recognize when you touch the screen? So if you're shaking, do you want it to be when you first touch the screen, or do you want it when you lift your finger off of the screen? Okay? And that's the second part. Touch assist, use initial location or the later one. Okay? It's the whole duration. And that's what the whole duration would look like. Use initial touch or final touch. Okay? So those are different ways that you're touching the phone, you can affect how your phone will react. Any questions out there on that one? Let me pull up. If you do, just interrupt and ask a question. I'm okay with that. The special applications you can have, right? I have some tips for picking an application you might want to put on your smartphone, right? Choose one that supports both symptoms of tracking and medication reminders. Make sure it can export and share the data. Use it consistently, daily or nearly daily. Logging gives the best picture of how things are fluctuate over time. Combine automatic tracking if the smartphone watch supported with manual notes. Review the data before your medication. It helps your provider see patterns rather than rely on just memory. And confirm privacy policy. You'll want the app to keep your health data secure. If you use a smartwatch or wearable device, pairing it with your app may give richer data. The Apple Watches collect more data than just the phone alone. Here are some smartphone applications we're going to talk about. And some of you may be using some of these, some of you may not, but they're a good reference, right? Stride PD, Parkinson's Empower, My Therapy, one called DAF, Steady Hands, tracks your hand movement, Parkinson's Home Exercise Program, and Breathe to Relax. These are 8 different apps, and I'm going to spend a little time on each one of them to give you an idea what they are, and you can choose which ones you might want to use. Stride PD, right? It's a free application. It's available on both Androids and Apple. It's a care management, care companion app for people with Parkinson's. It helps with tracking symptoms, monitor daily living, understand how medications and lifestyle affect systems, and sharing data with clinicians, right? It's FDA cleared watch component. So this one, they'd like you to have an Apple Watch with it. The Apple Watch functionally for more detecting tremors and what's that word? Dyskinesia is FDA cleared. Device requirements requires an iPhone with a more recent operating system and an Apple Watch with those two features. The product is HIPAA compliant and follows privacy security practices. Data linked is versus not linked is specified in the app's privacy disclosure. Here's some of its features. Passive symptom monitoring. When you wear the Apple Watch and carrying your phone, the app can automatically record data about tremors, involuntary movement via the Apple Movement Disorder. Users can log medications, physical activity, and self-reported symptoms. And it can record the notes by taking or voice logging events. It shows symptoms and trends over times in relation to medical schedule, activity levels, and daily routines. This helps the users and doctors see patterns. Helps schedule and remind you to take your medications. Encourages physical activity. Users can take notes on triggers, side effects, and influences like diet and activity. You can generate reports, summaries to share with physicians, caregivers, etc., to help guide treatment. And the app offers a Parkinson's screener if you notice new symptoms and can link these to clinical trial opportunities. All right. Let's talk about the next one, Stride P. No, I'm sorry. The limitations of Stride PD, right? You have to wear the Apple Watch and keep the phone in specific places, like with you at all times. Also, you have to keep them charged, right? The app provides charts and trends, but these still need clinical interpretations. It doesn't replace medical advice. It takes discipline where you have to log your medications, symptoms, and follow medication schedules. It still requires your effort there, right? It is free, but it does have some premium features that you have to pay for. Some more advanced features like the Guardian coaching, maybe more frequent clinician interactions may cost a little extra and have restrictions. What users liked about this particular app, it helps spot patterns and triggers, improves communications with doctors. It has the scheduling for medications. It's passive tracking with your Apple Watch for a lot of the features. It's user friendliness and interface, why they like it, right? It's It has support and it's responsive. It provides insight which can lead to changes in medications and or activity. People using the trend views to make changes, adjusting medications, exercise, stress management, even considering interventions like deep brain stimulation. What they may like is the battery life for the devices, gaps in passive data capture. It's a bit of a learning curve. Desire more detailed and flexible data, right? Dependency on having to wear the watch and the cost and premium features. While the base app is free, some advanced or extra support features you have to pay for. Some users wonder whether benefits justifies the cost of the premium. And privacy and data concerns is what they may be concerned about, right? Then we have another app called Parkinson's Empower. Has some similar features to the previous one, but it's also available on both devices to collect frequent real-time, real-world data about symptoms and changes in the disease through smartphone sensors and surveys to help researchers learn more about symptoms of variability, triggers, progression, and effects of medication. So these two apps are similar. This one doesn't quite gather as much data because it doesn't have the Apple Watch associated with it. The sponsor is Sega in collaboration with the University of Rochester. It is a research app. So it's doing more research than the previous one we talked about and helping understanding the disease. Its key factors are, right, the app uses the iPhone sensors, the accelerometer, and the gyroscope, as well as user interactions. Tasks include finger tapping, dexterity, walking tests, and voice recording, memory tasks. To self-reported surveys, users answer questions about their symptoms, quality of life, and how the medications are affecting them. Users must be 18 years or older, have an iPhone 5S or newer, and there's an electronic consent process. The data is shared, right? Is available to researchers. What makes it useful and unique, frequent longitudinal data instead of clinical visits every few months. The app enables many repeated measurements over time so researchers can see the daily fluctuations. It's remote and decentralized research because everything is done via the phone. People don't have to come to the clinic. Reduces barriers, especially for those far away or during times when in-person visits are hard. Variety of measurements, right? It does the tremor and walking measurements, the voice dexterity and memory, captures a broad picture, not just one kind of symptom. Open data transparency enables researchers around the world to use the data, helping build models. Bias in the participation and generation are some of the limitations, generalities. As with many remote studies, enrolled users may be more tech savvy, more motivated, or difficult or different in other ways than the average patient. That can affect how general the findings are, right? Sensors and measures are limited because they're not using the watch, for example. In self-reporting errors do occur when the survey and task completion rely on patient consistency. So if you're not recording the information, like your medication, etc., the data is not quite as valuable. Interpretation of the data, while the app gives the data, what those numbers mean for a given person, changes in treatment and predictions may not always be clear. So the clinical correlation is needed. Develop an device and eligibility limitations requires more iPhone models, U.S. Residency, ability to use smartphone task. Those requirements exclude some people. I think the iPhone models is not a problem any longer. U.S. residency, it may be for some, and those requirements exclude, right? Then we have MyTherapy, the next app we might want to talk about here. Available for both the iPhone and the iPad. Android. MyTherapy is a medication-centered and health tracking app designed to help people manage chronic conditions. So we're going to focus here on just the medications, right? It's a free download on both the iOS and Androids and supports features like reminders, tracking symptoms and measurements, and reports you can share with your healthcare provider. When used by people with Parkinson's, MyTherapy offers several tools that can be helpful in managing symptoms and treatment. Some of the relevant features include the following: medication reminders, notification when you're running out of medications, lets you record motor and non-motor symptoms like tremors, plus measurements like weight, blood pressure, etc. Another medication helps ensure doses. I had that one there twice. Wow. Sorry about that. And stock and refill alerts notifies you when you're running out of your drugs. Didn't realize those were on. I'm sorry. Those were on there twice. The pros are it's easy to use, widely available. The medication reminders are readily and reliable and crucial for a condition like Parkinson's when timing of dosage is important. Helps avoid running out of medications with refill alerts and the ability to export. Sorry about that. To export reports giving your neurologist or care team better insight into how symptoms and medications adherence are changing over time. Limitations, some Parkinson's limitations symptoms like droolings, slowness are not may not be included in the symptoms. Medications that are less common might not be in the app's database, requiring manual entry. The app is not a medical device and does not replace clinical care or monitoring. The symptom tracking and activity features are basic and may lack advanced analytics or customization. DAF Pro. It's available again on both the Android and the Apple. Is a professional speech therapy tool. So this one's unique. The other three we covered are basically tracking tools. This one is a speech therapy tool designed to help people who stammer or have neurological conditions linked to Parkinson's. It helps slow down speech, make it clearer and more fluent. Why choose this app? It's proven speech therapy. Uses delayed auditorial feedback. That's what the DAF stands for. A clinical recognized technique. Ultra low latency, real-time feedback, even in the background. Easy to use, designed for all users, from professional to individuals, trusted by experts. How it works. DAF Pro alerts how you hear your speech, your own speech, helping to naturally slow down your speaking rate. Research shows that DAF benefits 1 in 3 with stammer or Parkinson's. Designed for convenience, works even when the screen of your device is off, supports wired and Bluetooth headsets. No ads, no data collection. Steady hands. Ah, yes. It's tremor meter, and it's both iOS and Android. The app description says it is monitoring hand tremors, including in Parkinson's, using your phone's built-in sensors. Apple offers objective tremor analysis, resting, postural, kinetic, and gives a hand steadiness score. Google Play's app can export reports to the doctor. The pros are focuses specifically on hand tremors. The cons are it's a wellness consumer tool, not necessarily validated as a medical device for Parkinson's care. Check how you interpret the results. Key features of the app are: the app uses guided tests to assist different types of hand tremors: resting tremors, postural tremors, kinetic tremor. It provides the hand steadiness score from 1 to extreme tremor, low stability, to 10, no tremor. It includes drawing tests, and sensor-based tests. It can generate visual outputs, graphics, exportable, shareable reports that can be given to your healthcare provider. He uses advanced algorithmic pattern recognition to compare your tremor against reference patterns typically of essential tremors and or Parkinson's, typical of. According to the app's description, newer versions may include additional tools for tremor detections, primary measurement types, and so forth. Limitations, things to be aware of. It is not a substitute for medical evaluation or diagnosis. The app makes markers and third-party reviews emphasizes this as with many health monitoring apps. Your results can be influenced by how you perform the tests. The phone position, the environment, distraction. I think the key there is always do it the same way to see how things change. Some users have noticed that certain test types, like tapping test, have been removed or changed. Scientific validation of how accurate or clinical usefulness the measurements are may still be limited. It does use science-based technology and objective methods, but that does not mean it has full clinical validation as a diagnostic tool. It certainly would measure changes over time for your situation. If you're using it in the context of medical treatment, medication adjustments, deep brain stimulation programs, etc., only use the data as a supplemental tool. Always involve your healthcare provider. How about the exercise program for Parkinson's? It's a mobile app. It's available in both the iOS and Android. That's Apple and Androids. Oriented toward people with Parkinson's, right? The app contains some videos for 50 home exercises covering areas such as walking, posture, sitting to standing, bed mobility, balance, and flexibility, and more. It also includes movement advances. It features a metronome with variability to help pace movement. The app is intended to support daily at-home exercises or movement for people with Parkinson's. There is a charge for this one. Could be $4.99 for the iOS version and $3.99 for the Android version. It gives a structured set of exercises and videos you can do at home, which can make it easier to stay consistent. The inclusion of the metronome is helpful for pace, rhythm, and cueing are often useful in the movement disorders. It covers a broad set of movement categories: walking, posture, flexibility, which aligns well with what many therapists recommend for Parkinson's exercise. You don't need a gym for the exercise, just device and a space in your home. Limitations of it are many of the exercises are described as educational videos or strategies rather than full individualized exercise prescriptions. Some content is more about movement technique or cueing than full strength training or balance. The advice is often generic, not personalized. There's a lack of dosage recommended. How many of the sets should you do? How many repeats and rest periods? And the user reviews there are complaints such as does not open exercise, or that some videos or functionality fail, right? For moderate to advanced Parkinson's, the content might be not sufficient or safe without supervision. It does not replace professional therapists' oversight or in-person exams. Tips for you on this particular one. If you are someone you care for is considering using this program, here's some suggestions. Use as a supplement, not a replacement. Still consult a physical therapist or neurologist who knows your disease. Start slowly and monitor safety, especially if balance is impaired or there's risk of falls. Track use and symptoms, noting which exercises feel helpful and which feel too hard, and any adverse effects. Pair with other types of exercise, aerobatic, strength, flexibility, balance, as recommended by the program. And the Parkinson's Foundation reassesses periodically. As disease progresses, the app's content may need adjustment and more tailored therapy may be needed. And they're continually updating the app. Check for updates and support just to make sure you're getting the most accurate and the best treatment the app can give you, right? And it fixes bugs along the way. Breathe to relax. It's a free stress management app developed by the National Center of Telehealth and Technology, designed to teach diaphragmatic, that's your belly, and breathing techniques for reducing stress and anxiety. It's available on both the app and Android devices and focuses on guiding users through deep breathing exercises, providing educational content about effects and stress on the body, and tracking emotional states before and after sessions. Key features are it's a free download and use, no premium version or account required. It's personalized breathing session, allow users to set their own inhale, exhale timing, cycles, and audio-visual settings. It includes a learn session with information on stress, biology, the difference between chest and belly breathing, and clear step-by-step guidance for diaphragmatic breathing. Tracks stress level before and after each session for self-monitoring, integrates with the Apple Health Kit, which is the health app on your phones, and Apple Watch for heart rate tracking during exercise, along with some user reports that is featured that this feature may not always work independent as intended. But it may not work as intended. Pros and cons, completely free, easy download, no login required. Help for basic breathe work, stress reduction, and teaching the biology of stress. The cons are the outdated interface, and I'm not sure if they've updated that recently, with occasional bugs. Lacks additional features, and Apple Watch integration may be unreliable, and support disorder development developer communications is limited. Okay. Okay, those are the applications I wanted to cover with you today. There's also, if you're working with a computer, you might want to consider some keyboards and mice, especially designed for folks with tremors. Okay. External keyboards are for your iPhone and iPad. There are a bunch. As I said, you can get an external keyboard, and it has to be a Bluetooth keyboard that you can hook to your either iPad that you can hook to your iPad. There's also the Bluetooth mouse that you can use on your iPhone or your iPad. For keyboards for your computer, you want to prioritize large key targets, stable hand posture. That's stable hand position. Either large print keyboards with big keys or enlarged keyboards, so you don't have to aim precisely. Make sure there's high contrast. You want to, if you can, get the keyboard that you might be able to return so you can get the feel of it. Many keyboards have a lot of different feel and they're very personalized. So if tremors cause unintended pressure, you might want a stiffer key feel. A keyboard overlay could prevent resting hands from pressing on keys by mistake. And that's the name of a particular keyboard there, the Clev Key Guard. I saw that was quite expensive, so I wasn't especially interested in that one. And consider software iOS settings. Many computers have the capability to enable filter and slow keys, so don't respond to accidental brief taps. Also try voice to text on your computers. And as I mentioned, test if possible a keyboard you might get. Some of the suggested keyboards here are the Logitech keyboard, Xrolox Print. It looks like this. It's a little pricey. Oops. Right? The Clev Low Vision keyboard is a white background keyboard. It's about the same size, but you'll notice the keys are quite a bit different. Good match for tremors and visibility. Again, a little pricey. Easy C large keyboard. So this is a little larger keyboard. High contrast letters and $35 range. If you want, if it's not necessary, but a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, a Bluetooth connected keyboard might be preferable because it doesn't have a wire to worry about, and you can move the keyboard around much easier. So on any of these, see if you can get the Bluetooth connection, right? This particular keyboard seems a little larger as well. The keys are a little different shape, and it costs $20. The Doso AKB 13132YK large print keyboard. Okay. Here's one that's more ergonomically positioned. Your hand would go left hand here, right hand here. So it's less strain on the wrist. It's cost $30, but the keys are a little harder to see and they're not quite as large. So that might not be a good fit for you. It might be. There's the Delton K20 backlit keyboard. And this one is wired, so you might not want to consider that one. And here's the wireless keys you see in large keyboard. Now the keyboard's a little larger, the keys are a little larger, easy to see. Okay, as for mice, right? Mice have quite a few adaptations you can have as well, right? There's the trackball, the tremor filter with tremor filter software. Okay. For example, the software on Steady Mouse was designed for tremors, right? There's vertical or ergonomical mice, and I'm going to cover some of those now, right? And there's alternative input methods such as joysticks, foot mice, and hand motion, if hand motion is a problem, right? So here's a couple. Microsoft's adaptive mouse. This is where your palm fits. So your palm is kind of cupped over the top of this particular mouse. Here's the Logitech Ergo wireless track point. Okay, it has a thumb ball here. That's how you don't move the mouse, you move the ball to it's a trackball. Left and right, scroll, etc. Okay. This one's more of a vertical mouse. See how the hand's positioned on the mouse? It's designed to reduce hand and wrist strain. And it's a more stable grip. Here's another trackball mouse. I'm sorry, not quite. It's just the way your hand fits around this mouse. It has a button here, right? It's a little more vertical than the other mice. Another vertical mouse. And again, see if you can get these on Amazon. And if they don't work out, just return it to Amazon. Great return policy there. Here's the one at foot control. It has 6 buttons on it. The Ergo ball style typing aid. It's a little ball that you grab with your hand, and it has a little tentacle coming out of it. I think you can see it here. And the tentacle is what you type on the keyboard. So this is not a keyboard or a mouse. It's a way in which you can improve your typing skills. And here's the wireless mouse. Well, no, it's not tremor specific. It's quiet, simple design, and reliable tracking. and it's probably one of the least expensive ones there in the package. Pick a mouse or pointing device that minimizes the need for fine incremental movement and clicking under tremors. The trackball and vertical mouse is a very good start. Pick a keyboard with large keys, maybe a key guard overall, or even alternative layout if typing is difficult. And again, on both devices, I recommend you get them wireless. Okay. Enable accessibility features with your Mac or Windows computers. You can filter slow key so the accidental pressing don't count. Adjust pointing speed, reduce sensitivity, maybe disable double clicking speed, right? Use tremor filtering software like Steady Mouse for the pointer, and consider alternative methods if typing is very hard. Voice dictation or speech to text can reduce the reliance on the keyboard. And as I mentioned earlier, try to get many of these things on eBay on Amazon so you can return them if they're not suitable for your situation. There's some computer software tools you can get as well. If the main problem is cursor mouse movement due to tremors, then something like Steady Mouse or Smart Point are appropriate. If the main issue is typing errors, accidental keystrokes due to hand tremors, then focus on keyboard filtering features, and text assistance software. If fatigue and hand motion is limited, that even more keyboard and mouse is too hard, consider dictation and voice controls as alternate pointing, head pointer, or foot mice based on what the operating system can support. How do you choose one of these things? Start with built-in features before purchasing extra software. For Windows, go to Settings and Easy Access, and keyboard and mouse enable filter keys. You can do a bunch of adjustments there by going to Settings, Easy Access, and Keyboard. Slow keys, repeat keys, or bounce keys. On a Mac, go to Settings, Accessibility. You'll find options for pointer control, voice commands, and head pointers. If built-in fixes aren't enough, there's some software you can get for both the Mac and the Windows, and combine hardware and software for the best results. And again, the trial period, right? On your computer, my recommendation would be go to accessibility settings first to adjust keyboard and mouse pointer settings. If the Mac, explore head pointer and voice control dictation. If they're still problematic, look for specialized mice and keyboards. If typing on the keyboard is still difficult, whoops. Sorry about that. There is some software you can get that does word prediction and, of course, speech to text. We mentioned quite a few times here. Software choices you could have are steady mouse, I mentioned. The features include anti-tremor filtering of the pointer, blocking accidental clicks, and an icon targeting system to help you snap to where you want to go. Compatibility with Windows only, though. Okay. If one has tremors affecting the mouse or track point control, it's a strong option. Smooth Point, a tool for Windows that helps reduce effects of tremor or unsteady hand motion on the pointing device, right? It includes settings to filter out unwanted motion, reduce accidental clicks, and supports alternative pointing devices. Good for someone with pointer control is fuzzy or unstable. And third, for a software choice for Windows, it's called Filter Key in slow motion or Sticky Key. Okay. That's built into Windows and Mac. For mouse tracking and trackpad, changing pointer speed, reducing sensitivity, and adjusting double click speed. Those are the built-in features that are available for you. Well, they're available. Oh, and there's one. I don't have a Mac, but that's an interesting one. There's a built-in feature like head pointer, using your head and camera to move the cursor, and voice control and dictation for typing. So that's one, if you're a Mac person, that's well worth checking into. These built-in features don't cost extra and are good for the first step, right? If someone whose typing is difficult due to tremors, for both your Windows and your Mac, it's called WordCue plus SpeechCue. Can help by predicting words, offering speech to text, and reducing the number of keystrokes needed. Also, voice recognition system built into both the OS and both operating systems on both the Windows and the Mac, so you can dictate instead of typing. So in the way of review and closing, we talked about why are smartphones and watches good devices. We talked about setting accessibility, settings on your phone, such as touch accommodations. We talked about special applications. I covered 6 or 7 of them. We talked about the keyboard and mice. And we talked about computer software tools that are available. That's it for me today. Went a little bit over. Is everybody still awake out there?
We're still here.
Do we have any questions about that? And who should I send the presentation to so it can be made available to everybody there?
Bill, you can send it to me. Sally, you have
Okay.
my email, I believe.
Yeah. There was a lot of data there, and it was mainly saying the whole intention there is to say, hey, there are all these things available, and it sure is worth trying some of them. That was the idea.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and the information, and I'm sure we'll find pieces of it helpful.
I hope so. Any questions at all
Out
there?
I don't think so. You were very thorough and did a lot of research on this, so thank you so much.
All right. Okay, dear.
All right. Thank you. Take care now.
You too.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.